And we saw that with Tom Brady after, of course, yes, you're going to have your vacations, your celebratory, events or whatnot. Of course, after winning the Super Bowl, we saw how much fun that the team had and Tom Brady had. But following was, he went out there and you go out and on the field and start training and start, if you really are. And there's some athletes that I will see, it's the off season. They're out there, still training, still practicing, evolving, making themselves better, whether that's in baseball, whether that's in football or basketball. If you really are an athlete and you're dedicated to your sport and what you're doing, you will maintain that. You will do, you will continue doing so. Not, you're not just not doing it for the luxury of it or for the money of it. It's actually what you want. It's your passion and what you want to do. And you truly are dedicated to it.
And Johanna, here's a classic example. The NBA, they had a little over 2 months to get ready for a brand new season. The Lakers won a championship back back late last year. And then 2 months later, everybody had to get prepared for another season that started mid-December. So they had to get their bodies prepared. Of course, last year and this year are unlike any years that we've ever seen or lived through, the majority of us. So this is not your typical off season for the NBA, but the season is what it is. In order for this NBA to get their ship righted, they had to elevate the season and start it as quick as they could and shorten it by 10 games from 82 to 72. But number one example, the NBA, all their players had to get ready. It wasn't the most ideal situation, and I'm sure all the players didn't really care that they had to turn back around and start in December. They're not really used to doing that, but nevertheless, it's the situation that they were thrust into, and they had to get prepared for it because they, as you said, they're professionals and they get paid a lot of money to play basketball.
Yeah, exactly. So, and with that and being prepared and when you're playing a sport and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and go into our next topic here, Ed, I'm going to go into a little bit of baseball talk here. So we have in baseball for spring training, there is what is called mercy rule. So in the mercy rule, I'll go ahead and read this off here of what it is. But for the first half of spring training through we're in March. I'm trying to time travel here, Ed. Through March 13th, games can be shortened to 5 or 7 innings upon mutual agreement of both managers during a game. And games may be shortened to 7 innings from March 4th through the end of spring training on March 30th. If both managers agrees, that's one of the rules that also was implemented. With the mercy rule is that a pitcher, as long as they reach 20 pitches, and let's say if they have bases loaded and they're in a jam, they can go ahead and call the inning. Then you go ahead and go on to, call that inning and go on to the next, and they can still go ahead and the pitcher can still go ahead and go back on the mound and pitch. So this has actually happened several times already during this spring training. It's happened with the Baltimore Orioles, Texas Rangers, the Diamondbacks also that occurred in a game where Zach Gallen didn't even allow a run. The manager, Torey Lovello, went ahead and ended the inning with only 2 outs and 2 men on. So this has been happening. One of the things, though, you and I started talking about it, Ed, before the show, as we were getting ready, is this has a plus and this has a con with the mercy rule and the other rule with ending the game at 5 or 7 innings. I want to get what your take is, Ed. And I agree from what we were talking earlier is that if you don't allow, let's say you have, I think this is something good for pitchers that maybe have already been in the game. They have already been developed in the game, and just to kind of give them a rest or to help them from injury, especially if you're throwing out so many pitches. And we'll go ahead and get into a little bit more of this for a regular season type of scenario. But I think that's a good idea in that essence. The only thing I do not like is that if you are an up-and-coming pitcher, you're trying to, get out there, get in the majors. I can see that it also, yes, can help you in preventing injuries. You're also trying to get your pitcher out of a jam and trying to as well cut down on the time of the game to have it not be so elongated. get them out of that struggle and that jam that they're in. So it's a plus and it's a minus, Ed.
It is. As Josefina Rojas, she logs in on Facebook she tells us this is to let them rest. As you were saying, yes, it is. And Cecilia Stratton, my girl Cecilia, logs in and she says pretty much the same thing. She says, hello, Joanna. So my good friend Cecilia says hello. She's watching on Facebook. But I agree with you and Josefina and Cecilia that it is primarily to make sure these pitchers don't wear themselves out. Like Garrett Richards for your Red Sox the other day, he had 23 pitches in that first inning. So Alex Cora was like, okay, I'm going to implement this rolling the inning rule. I'm pulling my guy out. And yes, he came back in the second and third innings, but you don't want to have him out there laboring and struggling, right? Joanna, Josefina, and Cecilia, you don't want your pitcher out there just struggling. And then there's a potential injury that could come up because he's out there for so long and he's throwing so many pitches and he's trying so hard to get outs and get out of an inning. So why not just pull the inning and just save him for another inning? Again, let him see the light of day in another inning as opposed to letting him out there and he's just trying so hard and it's just not working. Just call the inning and bring it back up in the next inning. That is one side to it. And one side I don't like is that I agree with the Kansas City Royals GM, Dayton Moore, says the fans won't really know what kind of game they're going to get, Joanna. Are they going to get a 5-inning game? What are they paying for? A 5-inning game, a 7-inning game, or a 9-inning game? When the fans come there, what are they expecting to see? They're expecting an entire 9-inning game. And if it gets called after 5 innings, they're like, okay, we didn't pay our hard-earned money for this. We want a full game. This is what we came out here for. Yeah.
Because I know when I go to a game as a fan, spring training, you're there. You want to get the whole experience because that's when you have, ideally, non-COVID. You go out there to have the experience with the players. You have that access to the players. You'll be able to get a little bit more close and personal, and have that full game experience. And that's what makes we have a lot of tourists, a lot of out travelers coming in for spring training, and what are they going to get for that? You don't, like you just said, you don't know what you're going to get. You're not going to get the full experience of a baseball game, a 9-inning game.
And what does that do for the competitive nature of a baseball game? If you're just going to go ahead and call that inning after 20 pitches, how is that fair to the team that's batting, that's actually trying to score runs and they're actually trying to see what they have talent-wise on their baseball team? Because you just want to go ahead and call it because your pitcher is 20 plus pitches into an inning, you want to go ahead and call it. That's not our fault.
Right.
The Atlanta Braves had a job to do as well when they were facing the Red Sox. They're trying to develop their talent and see who they have, who they're trying to put together for a roster for the regular season. Doesn't matter that Garrett Richards was struggling. They don't care about that. They want to see what they have as far as their players are concerned and who they can roll out on opening day.
Right. Yeah. And exactly, Ed, that's the other take on it that I have too, is you have these players, these athletes, the pitchers, outfielders, infielders that you call up to spring training to showcase their skills, what they can do. Part of a pitcher, you get in a jam. Okay, now what does the pitcher do to get out of that jam if he can, right? Now you won't be able to see that because you have the mercy rule. I get it. I understand it is to protect your pitcher, to go ahead and give them some rest, not get them worn out. But I would say go ahead and just pull them out of the game if that's such a situation and you just want to go ahead and give them some rest, just pull them out. If you want to go ahead and put them on again later on in the game, okay, go ahead and do so. But, I think that there is a downfall there because now they're not being able to showcase their skills, whether that's the batter or that's the pitcher.
Yes.
Or for scouts. And seeing, okay, maybe he got in a jam this inning and was able to get out of it. Let's see what he comes out with the following inning. It puts a little bit of a different dynamic, different situation into the game. Now you don't know, you said it, Ed, you don't know what type of game you're going to be coming into now.
You don't really know what you have in your pitcher because he's in the heat of this moment. Can he actually pull out of this? If you're in a bases loaded situation and you have no outs, can he actually get you out of this inning? Is he someone that's reliable when the rubber meets the road, when you're in the heat of a division pennant race and you're trying to see if this guy is actually somebody you can trust and depend on to take you to the promised land? Well, you won't know that in spring training because you're pulling him out after 20 pitches.
Mm-hmm. And don't you also run the risk of, okay, let's say you make the call, let's go ahead and bring up this guy. But then during the season, it turns out to be a bust.
It is a two-edged sword to this rule. On the one hand, we understand why the rule is implemented, but on the other side, there's pluses and minuses to every rule that's implemented, especially this one.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, we'll see if MLB go ahead and does decide to keep it on for the following season for spring training. I don't know. I don't have that. They're just gonna go ahead and play and see what happens this season with the spring training or what's gonna happen. I think we all have probably not very happy about this rule and really don't like it. I've heard, a lot of people are against it. I'm not a fan of it, really, to say I understand it for why it's there, but I really am not. So hopefully they don't have put anything in place for something similar to this for the regular season.
Me too.
If they do that, you're taking away from the game of baseball and what baseball truly is, because I think that's exactly what is happening here, Ed, with this mercy rule.
I hate to bring up what happened in October in Game 6 with the Rays and the Dodgers. Does this not smack of what Kevin Cash did in bringing out Blake Snell early when he was on it? In a way, it does, because you're bringing your pitcher out before his time. Who's to say Garrett Richards couldn't have got out of that situation the other day against the Braves? He could have pulled the Red Sox out of that situation. Blake Snell could have led the Rays to a victory in Game 6. And who knows what could have happened in Game 7 if he would have kept them in there.
We talked about it. We will never know.
Yes, but it's hard to overturn your manager. They pay the manager to make those decisions. I mean, it's just like a quarterback in the NFL. When sometimes the quarterback will blow off a head coach, he'll say, "No, I don't want you to call this play. I don't want you to call a punting situation, or I don't like this play call. I'm going to call my own play." It's a different sport, a different situation. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, 4th and 8.
Let's not go there.
Okay. Yeah.
Some bad memories are resurfacing, Ed.
I know. Josefina, if you don't know, Johanna is the biggest Green Bay Packers fan. And if you watch the NFC Championship, you know what we're talking about. See how she's back in her chair, Josefina? She's like, oh, yeah, I do remember that game. Yeah, that was.
So since we're talking football and to repress these not so favorable, memories, let's go ahead and make some awesome and great memories and some awesome news that happened. It's the start of the week on Monday, Ed. It's like Christmas came early for Arizona, the Arizona Cardinals. It did. Welcome to the Valley of the Sun, JJ Watt. He has signed a 2-year deal with the Arizona Cardinals, and it's with a nice bow, nice wrapped bow with it.
Yes, he did. He got a nice payday out of it, a reported 2-year, $31 million deal, $23 million guaranteed, Joanna. So he got his payday, and he was introduced to the media on Tuesday. And there were 3 things that led J.J. Watt here. One, it was the aggressiveness that general manager Steve Keim and Michael Bidwell had toward getting J.J. Watt to come to Arizona. I mean, the money is great. Yeah, $23 million guaranteed. I'll take that. If I'm J.J. Watt, I'm almost 32 years old and I'm in search of a championship and I wasn't happy in Houston. I'm out. And he had other suitors, but the Arizona Cardinals were after him and they really wanted him and they got him. Number 2, he's so enamored with Kyler Murray. The proper quarterback for J.J. Watt was one of the most paramount things in his decision to where he was going to play next. And having Kyler Murray here, one of the premier young talents in the National Football League at quarterback, was one of the other reasons why it swayed his decision to come to Arizona. And number 3, he gets to reunite with his former defensive coordinator, Vance Joseph. He was his defensive coordinator back in Houston in his first 3 years when he tore up the league. In his first 5 years, he had 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards. So Vance Joseph was instrumental in J.J. Watt being the man he is today and the athlete he is today.
Yeah, I am so excited. I think now this puts a whole different, angle on the Arizona Cardinals with Murray, Fitzgerald, and everyone who they have. It just brings them to put. I can't even talk now. Just makes them.
That's how excited you are.
I guess, yeah. I can't even talk.
And Joanna,
yesterday when I saw the because JJ Watt announced it himself before anyone, I thought this was so unique the way that it was, because there were so other teams, and it's going to go here, he's going to go there.